This just gets worse. I am terribly confused about the state of our nation, about who is running our country, and truly I'm conflicted over this election and who to vote for, or if I should even bother. Let's talk. Welcome to the Time to Talk podcast. We're going to talk right now, and I want to talk Kamala Harris being endorsed by 700 plus members of the deep state, the blob. What does this mean? Why and who are they? So it continues. If you recall, the War Machine Forever War Gang continues with their push to make sure that Harris and the corporate captured freedom and liberty suppressing war party, aka the Democrats, stay in office. Who are these people? These are the same type as the Cheneys. You remember them just a couple weeks ago? One of the single most despised, despicable, degenerate, disgusting, and dastardly devious war criminals in modern history, Dick Cheney, and his daughter endorsed Harris. No, they didn't endorse. They got behind the Dems. Why? Because they share the same foreign policy, or should I say, the same policy of war, and more war. And that brings us to the latest endorsement. This time by a group calling themselves the NSL4A, National Security Leaders for America. Thank God they're for America, right? These 700 plus backers put out a letter. Thank God they're for America. Let's read some of this. Let's get into it. To the American people. So here you can see, all right, this is the NSL4A endorses Kamala Harris for President of the United States. To the American people. We are former public servants, just humble public servants who swore an oath to the Constitution. Many of us risked our lives for it. We are retired generals, admirals, senior non-commissioned officials, ambassadors, and senior civilian national security leaders. When they say it like that, they're saying it as if it's, like really? We are the Republicans, Democrats, and independents. Oh, they made sure they get everybody. We are loyal to the ideals of our nation, like freedom, democracy, and the rule of law, not to any one individual party. Of course not. Of course they're not. We do not agree on everything, but we all adhere to two fundamental principles. First, we believe America's national security requires a serious and capable commander-in-chief. Second, we believe American democracy is invaluable. Each generation has a responsibility to defend it. And that is why we, the undersigned, proudly endorse Kamala Harris to be the next president. Let me read that again. We believe America's national security requires a serious and capable commander-in-chief. And second, we believe American democracy is invaluable. So we basically endorse, anyway, Kamala Harris. Yes, because she's just obviously the choice, right? Look at this. People, you know what? I'm not even going to read anymore. I'm not going to bother. We have real problems. We have real problems. And, listen, these are the folks behind the scenes, including former CIA directors John Deutsch, John Brennan. You got Janet Napolitano, Jim Clapper, Susan Rice, Victoria Nuland, Jeff Flake, and Hillary Clinton, who are all directly telling you that Harris's foreign policy, again, aligns much more with theirs, which, again, for those not paying attention, is to keep the wars going by any means necessary. This is their policy. Our domestic policy is guided and determined by our foreign policy. The Democrats, the liberals, left have traditionally despised the national security state, the CIA and such. Now they're besties? What the? These are some of the folks. These are the same folks who are responsible for all the wars, Iraq, Syria, Libya, Afghanistan, and the current Ukraine war, which we are funding. These are the folks waiting to censor people and suppress free speech and whatever goes against their pro-war agenda, which brings me to free speech. Oh, I'm fired up today. We're going to talk. People, free speech is under attack, not just here, but globally. France, Australia, Brazil, as of late, to name the most recent examples, nations looking to work with big tech platforms to monitor and censor and deplatform anyone they feel is a threat to their narratives. We saw this with the arrest of Telegram founder Pavel Durov. We're seeing this with X, formerly Twitter, and Elon's fight in Brazil. Australia recently seeking to fine tech platforms up to 5% of their global revenue if they don't cooperate with the government regarding censorship. And here in the U.S., where do I start? How about Hillary Clinton on MSNBC with Rachel Maddow stating that we need to have criminal and civil penalties for misinformation and disinformation? And then the puppet AOC echoed the same exact sentiment. Really? So what is misinformation and disinformation? It's anything that the powers that be, the blob, decides doesn't align with their interests or with their narratives. This, my friends, is dangerous, and it is the very road to totalitarianism. Period. Period. You worried about Trump. Oh, we got to save democracy. Currently, you're being abused, and yet many of you are singing the praises of and endorsing the very people who are abusing you. Wake up. Let me also mention the sickening appearance of Vladimir Zelensky, the president of Ukraine, in Pennsylvania at an ammunition manufacturer with Governor Josh Shapiro signing bombs. You sick bastards. What is going on? Now, knowing all this, I have to ask you, those of you waving your flags for democracy, we got to save flags for freedom from tyranny. Those of you waving your flags for Kamala Harris and the Democrats, what exactly are you thinking? What are you hoping for? What is the deal? What is your deal? I'm speaking to all my brothers and sisters of all religions and all ethnicities everywhere across the land. But specifically, yes, I'm more focused on my black and brown brothers and sisters who feel the need to stand behind it and vociferously back this woman and these people for office. Now, I know what you're going to say, all right? But this brings me to Trump. And I guess you're thinking, if I'm so anti-Harris and Dems, then I must be in for Trump. And that, my friends, is where the conflict comes in. Trump is anti-establishment, but at the same time, he's received over, this is just one example, $100 million from Sheldon and Miriam Adelson to do the bidding of Israel, period. Israel first, America second. Now, is that MAGA? Is that America, Make America Great Again? Or is that MEGA, Make Israel Great Always? What is the deal? Trump is a mess for the establishment, for the deep state, for the blob, for sure. So yeah, we're in this position of it's the lesser of two evil things. But let's be real, people. Let's be real. You want to have these discussions. You want to wave your flags and get emotional for Kamala Harris and the Democrats, and then you right away, if I'm not voting for, let me put this out there. Let me just say this right now, because I've been asked this before, and I may have even spoke about it on this particular podcast. I may have said it. I am absolutely 100% against Kamala Harris and the Democrats, period. The Democratic Party and what it has morphed into and this war machine that they have and this obsession with censorship and violating our First Amendment rights and a bunch of other rights. And I'm not talking about just Harris and Biden. Let me not just lay the blame there with the current administration. That's too easy to do. I don't want to go there. We can go way back with Obama. You want to go back to Obama? You want to go back to Bill Clinton? You want to see how this whole thing kicks up? It's not just Harris and Biden. I don't hate Kamala Harris, and I don't hate women or black women. It's what she represents, who she represents, and who she's working for. You guys are out there waving flags about saving democracy from Trump. Let me tell you something about Trump. Trump is a rogue anti-establishment thing that they did not expect. They don't want him either. They tried to assassinate the guy twice. Yeah, I think they did. Twice. And I don't think they'll stop. They do not want this guy in office. Why? Now, here's the deal. You've heard me say before on this very podcast that no matter who gets in office, they're being controlled by the blob, by the deep state, by the national security agencies, those interests. That's who controls whoever's going to get in that office. So realistically, this whole illusion of democracy that we have a choice between a Democrat and a Republican, yeah, okay, that's nice. But at the end of the day, they're both going to answer to somebody else. They're going to answer to the corporatists. They're going to answer to the military-industrial complex and to the Pentagon and to the State Department. That's what's going to happen. Now, when it comes to Trump, you must be asking yourself, well, okay, well, then you're not voting for Harris and then, so what makes Trump, if they're all going to be running him anyway, what difference does it make? Trump is slightly different because he kind of disrupts their whole thing, because he's impulsive, he's arrogant, he's self-centered, and he's on his own timeline and his own thing. So they don't quite know what to do with him. He's not as easily controlled. Let me put it like that. Let's make it very easy to understand for those who have a hard time keeping up. Okay? If they're both puppets, but Kamala is obviously the easier puppet to control. The woman can barely speak. I don't know if I didn't even mention the Oprah town hall event. This is nonsense. It wasn't an interview. It was a town hall rally event to get you more stirred up for Kamala Harris and the Dems. And she, of course, did her thing where even Oprah was looking at her like, what the are you talking about, woman? Okay? Go ahead and watch it. I don't want to get too much into that. But my point is, if I may, Kamala Harris is easy to control. She's much easier to deal with. She's already in the administration that's allowing for all these things to happen. That's got us in multiple wars and on the brink of World War III and nuclear Armageddon. She's already part of that machine, that apparatus. It is easy for them to say, yeah, keep going. Yeah, we got her. Of course they want her to win. Of course you're going to have 700 former CIA and all sorts of deep state people signing on to support her. They want to keep her right where she is because everything's working fine. Biden will, whatever, kick the bucket eventually. It is what it is. They already got rid of the old man. Even though he's supposed to be running our country, we have no idea what's going on. But they already got rid of him and they stuck her in his place. Why? Why? Because she was so highly qualified? Because she was so popular? Wake up. Wake up. She wasn't popular. She's not qualified. You know it. You know it. But she's easily manipulated and easy to control. She's going to get in there and do whatever she's told. Trump, on the other hand, Trump talks a lot of stuff. Trump's going to get in there and want to do this and want to do that and make deals and make things happen better than anybody ever did it. You see, I can do that. That's what Trump does. So they're still going to control him. Don't get it twisted. They're still going to control him, but it's not as easy for them to do. And he pushes back a little bit. He makes it harder for them to execute their plans. That's the thing with Trump. So that is the one thing that I'm looking at going, look, if this is a choice between the lesser of two evils, I can tell you, the person who's currently whipping me with a whip and wants to continue whipping me, but is telling me, oh, I should worry about the guy over there who might want to whip me later on. I'm right now, I'm concerned with the person currently whipping me. And if you think you're not being whipped, if you think you're not being hurt, and you think that somehow the Democrats and the Harris and Biden administration, that they've done so much for the little people and the poor people and the middle class, and they're going to save you and they're going to bring the grocery prices down. If you think that, then you're just not on this planet. And you need to wake up. You need to wake up. Now, I'm being obviously more so than probably most of the other broadcasts. This is a brand new podcast, so I'm only 4, 5, 6, 7 episodes, whatever amount of episodes in. And I'm fired up because what I'm seeing happening and it is disturbing, but what's more disturbing is that there are still people, again, my black and brown brothers and sisters, who are on their pages, on their social media, singing the praises of Kamala Harris and making this just a Trump is evil. He's going to be a dictator. No, he's not. We already have dictatorship. We already have a totalitarian state that's already being put in place for you. And it's not being done by Trump. This guy doesn't care about being a dictator. He doesn't care about half the crap. Most of the stuff you've heard about Trump is all because of media spin and what the narrative is that they want to produce to get you to hate the man, because by any means necessary, they don't want him in office because he's a pain in the ass. I'm breaking it down plain and simple. Simple talk, people. Simple talk. And I'll tell you something else. I get people who occasionally want to challenge or ask me questions. I will put little things out there. I'll say something. I'll make a statement about Democrats and different things regarding free speech and suppression of free speech and censorship and the deep state and all these things. And I'll get someone who, well, can you give me an example? I'm not going to give you a 2,000 word essay on my social media. And yeah, I have a podcast. I have a platform that I'm using to help inform. But not every single podcast I'm going to sit here and break everything down for you. I'm going to give you resources. I'm going to give you the inspiration. I'm going to share with you details. Of course I will. When I have very specific agendas and things to talk about, I'm going to discuss those things with you. But I implore you all, as I said on the very first episode of this podcast, do some research. Go out there. I tell my kids this. When my kids come and ask me a question that I can just easily answer in 2 seconds, I don't give them the answer. I tell them, look it up, Google it, learn, go onto a browser, figure it out. And I talk to them about different browsers and how they're tainted and how the Google is part of that whole tech thing. And their algorithm is set up a certain way, a particular way, to only provide results that are in their favor in the deep state. I can go on all day about that. But my point is, I tell my kids to look things up, to get the answers for themselves. You could do the same thing. You should not be sitting there during this time, as critical as this election is, not reading, not paying attention to multiple publications outside of the legacy media, Okay? Outside of corporate media, you should be looking at alternative news sources and indie news sources and indie journalists. You should do some research. Find out who Mike Benz is. Find out who Glenn Greenwald is. Talk. Discuss things. Check out Candace every now and then. Who else do we have? Oprah? I think I'm done. You guys get all emotional for Kamala Harris no matter what she does. It's just really, she's just another corporate interest lapdog. You know, it is what it is. You're all hooting and hollering, and you guys gotta be, you've got to do some research, and you've got to really put the interests of this country first, and our freedoms and our liberties first. Not behind some woman who's barely qualified to be a kindergarten teacher. You want to cheer, you want to go on, you want to do that. Just learn and at least know what you're talking about. If you know you're getting it in the butt and you're getting it from behind, if you can at least admit it and say, yeah, I kind of know that, but I don't care, then be that person. But don't be the person who doesn't even know you're getting it and you act like you have something to say and you're supporting people. I'm done. That's it for me on the Time to Talk podcast today. I think I've said enough. I think you guys are hearing what I'm saying. I appreciate your comments below. If you want to get at me, you want to, say what you want to say about me, go ahead in the comments and say it. Actually, you know what? I want to end off with an important thing. Novelist, journalist, highly respected guy that I pay attention to a lot. He's on Racket News with Matt Taibbi, another journalist, one of my favorite journalists. And they have America This Week. And Walter Kern did a post recently on X, which he said, which candidate, party or side is most likely to increase government control over news, communications, expression, and speech? Because that's the group which is seeking permanent power for itself and a permanent disadvantage for all who question it. It's the issue of issues. It is the issue of issues, people. That is the issue of issues. I leave you with that. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet. Listen on audio only on different streaming platforms, all the major ones, Apple, whatever, Spotify. Subscribe here on YouTube. Like this video. Share it. Don't be afraid. Even if you disagree, share it. Then you can discuss it with those people you shared it with. You can hate on me, or you can agree with me. We can talk. Leave comments below. I'll see you on the next Time to Talk. Peace.